Again, if we're going down the path of some practical strategies, and now we're looking at tracking calories, we're looking at that, something that we're going to be doing, and a strategy that we're going to utilize to control our energy intake, and ultimately get ourselves into an energy deficit, and start to lose body fat, then we can use a calculator like this below. Now, this is the workings of the Mifflin St. Jour calculator, or the Mifflin St. Jour equation for estimating BMR, and then your level of activity, or your activity factor, off the back of that as well. There's nothing magic about this. This isn't the answer. People will think, "Oh, now I've got my calories." This really couldn't matter less, in terms of what is going to be most important is your consistency over a period of time, because you might work out your calories off of this, and it might say 2,500 calories, and then you start eating 2,000, what you think is 2,500 calories, and you're like, I'm not losing weight, or I'm putting on weight. Oh, the calculator must be wrong. Like, no, you could be you could be miscalculating the amount of food that you're taking in, the packaging that you're taking the nutritional information off of, the calories off of that can be incorrect as well. So therefore, it knowing the exact number doesn't matter. It's just being somewhat consistent in what you do, and then making some adjustments off of that. Because if you were to say eat this, said spat out 2,500 calories was your maintenance, and you put in 2,500 calories, you were consuming what you thought was 2,500 calories, and you were putting on weight, say, then you would just reduce 250 calories from whatever you've been eating. You think it's 2,500. It might be, it might not be. It doesn't really matter. You would just have to make a reduction in that to find where your maintenance is. And so long as you're tracking your calories and you're tracking your foods in the same way, or a similar fashion, as in you're weighing them, you're weighing all your meats either cooked or raw, and the same things with your carbohydrates. You're doing it either cooked or raw. Like, it's consistency. You're using the same implements to measure, even if you're not using scales. And it's like this cup device thing here that I'm using to measure out potatoes or rice or whatever. If I'm having two of those rice cup measurements for a meal, and I'm not losing weight, and I want to be losing weight, then maybe I need to cut it down to 1 cup measurement per meal, and then reassess that's basically what it is. And that's what you do, even if you know the numbers and you say reduce 250 calories. That's what you end up doing anyway. So it honestly really doesn't matter. And there's a ton of other calculators out there on the internet that you can get for free, that you punch in your data into it, and then it spits out a number at you. If you're worried, or what I personally do is I use, there's 3 different equations that I use. I use all 3 of them, and then I take the average of those 3, and then I feel like I've kind of covered my bases. And that's probably a little bit neurotic, even for me, but it's just, I'm happy to do that, to kind of feel like I've covered my bases, and make sure that there isn't too big a distinguishment between, or too big and the differences aren't too great. Sorry, I can't think of the word. The differences aren't too great between each of those calculations, which they never are. So let's say that you've got your BMR. So for a male, you go 10 times your body weight in kilograms, plus 6.25 times your height in centimetres, minus 5 times your age in years, and then plus 5. That will spit a number out at you, which will be your basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is basically the energy to keep the lights on. So if you were in a hospital bed and you couldn't move, just to keep just to keep the system running, just to keep your brain running, all these autonomous things that happen throughout your body, digestion, breathing, all the rest of it. That's how much energy it would take. As I've said before, the biggest determinant of your basal metabolic rate is lean muscle. So that's why it's so important that we're trying to build lean muscle, because the more lean muscle we build, the more calories we can run on, and the more food that we can consume, and then it makes dieting and things like that a lot easier. the more lean mass that we actually carry. So then you have your basal metabolic rate, and you just times it by one of these numbers on the site on the right hand side here. So if you're sedentary, 1.2, lightly active, 1.375, and then that will spit out your total daily energy expenditure. That's how much energy you expend in a day. And then if you were wanting to lose weight, you would eat less than that, and we'll go into exact calorie deficits in a little bit. And if you want to gain weight, you would be in a calorie surplus, so you would have to be eating a little bit more than that total daily energy expenditure. Again, once this number is spat out, that TDEE, your maintenance calories, basically, try that out for a week or a fortnight and see what happens. Eat like that and eat to those calories and see, do you lose weight, put on weight, or do you stay the same? And then just make adjustments off of that. If you're putting on weight, it's not your maintenance, it's slightly above. If you're losing weight, it's not your maintenance, you're in a slight deficit. And then eat up to that maintenance if you're trying to find where maintenance is for you. And then you can establish that, and you know that's where your maintenance calories are. So if you need to have a diet break or whatever it is during a dieting phase, you know where you're bumping your calories back up to.